and Breakdowns.
Welcome back to the Chill Sounds and Breakdowns podcast. Today is episode 50. 51. 51. I don't know where I'd be if Bert wasn't here to tell me where we were at. All right, this is just all a blur. But I'm excited today. It's someone who I've seen around the scene for a minute and see them do some really cool stuff. I kind of just really got introduced to you, but today we have Santiago, a.k.a. Holder.
Yo.
I did that right? Did I mess it up?
Holder.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I want to know that, first of all, where did that come from? Were you...
Man. So I was going by my name, Santiago Holder, as an artist for a while. I was releasing music in Dallas. And I went to LA and I started working as a producer, and I kind of just wanted to switch up. I felt like everything in my life was changing.
Yeah.
So I just changed my name, but I went with my last name. So it's Holder, but I just took the vowels out.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. A homie suggested that to me, and I was like, oh, that's actually pretty dope.
That's a simple way to make something just more aesthetically pleasing and cooler. And then a lot of these days stuff is searchability, how easy it is for you to cut through noise of someone looking you up. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize how big of a deal that was until you go and look up some of these band names, and you're like, which one of these is it? It's really it's something I think people should take into account before they pick a band name. It's go give it a quick Google search or and
Spotify.
Spotify's the easiest one to just look into there and be how many pop up? What's the quickest way to get to? But that's cool. Okay, I didn't know it was your last name. I was just okay. I was I wonder where Holder comes from. Yeah. But yeah, you've. I've seen you kind of around for a bit. Actually, my first real introduction to who you were was the music video for Future You.
Oh my god, that was so funny.
I saw that we were me and Bernice did a reaction to it, and then she was the one who's that's Santiago. I've never met him. I don't know, but I looked at it, I was it's fucking hilarious. It's so funny. Yeah. But stuff like that gets done because you meet a lot of people and the stuff that you do, and you kind of just help out. I know most recently you've I saw you worked with Yasmin's new single that just dropped not too long ago. Yeah. So I thought that was cool. I'm really a big fan of her. And then I know you work with Rain. With
me and Rain have a bunch of stuff coming out. We've been working for 2 years now, me and Rain, but the stuff is barely dropping.
Really?
We just had a bunch of bumps in the road and trying to get him going in the right direction, figuring everything out, just planning.
Yeah.
But now we're on the next stage. We're going to release all the music that I've done with him, and then he has a lot of bigger music coming out too, some stuff made by Ricky from Ice Nine Kills.
Oh shit!
Super dope.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's amazing. I don't know if I should have said that. But, it's really great.
You can check. We can cut it out if you need to.
It's cool. It's cool.
Or just bleep it out.
Yeah, no, it's not a problem. But yeah, I'm really excited for his stuff. He's so talented. It's great to have him in the studio. He's always driven, has a vision, and brings out the best in me when I'm producing.
Do you feel you like that a lot, that you in working with all these different artists, it kind of pushes your own personal music and things like that?
Yeah It advances me. It pushes. I like working with an artist that knows what they want, because it pushes my boundaries of what I'm capable of, and then I end up getting better or trying stuff that I might have not tried, and then I always end up using that down the road.
That's I could see that in if someone comes in knowing what they want, it's a lot easier for you to add on stuff to it instead of having to decipher first of all what they want, and then it doesn't really give a lot of time or opportunity to be okay, let's introduce other ideas, because it's a lot already to try to figure something out. I've never truly worked with a producer. I've always been, it's always hard to find for me, was who do I trust with the vision. Yeah. But I think it was always because when I went in to record or something, I didn't quite have exactly what I wanted it to sound like. I was so new to it that I didn't have oh, this is what I need this tone to sound like. This is what I need, all this stuff. So I was learning all of that. So I think that took away from somebody being whenever, because I think I went to record with my band, they tried to add new stuff, and I was well, hold on, what are you doing? I didn't sign up for this or whatever. But it's also because I didn't really trust that person with my music per se. How do you think you have a lot of problems doing that with like people, or it's like because you know these people so like well that it kind of makes it easier?
I try to work with people that I already have like a relationship with, but I do get a lot of people that don't know me and that'll just come in, and that's very common. You know, their music is their baby, you know, and especially if they're coming in with songs already written, you know, that they've a lot of times when people come to me and it's their first time, I find that a lot of them haven't worked with a producer. Yeah. So we kind of have to build that relationship. I try to be very like comforting, make everything as comfortable as possible for them, listen to their music, and then try to listen to everything else that they like as well. So I kind of get in their headspace.
Oh, gotcha.
You know, so like not necessarily that an artist that they like would be the same type of music, but if I can like immerse myself in their surroundings of what they listen to, I can have a better idea kind of like where they pull from, if that makes sense.
That actually makes perfect sense, and it's actually like a nice little effort that you're putting into it, because if I think that was kind of my fear, someone not knowing what like I'm trying to do, or like what's influencing like how I made this, just go in and try to like add their little touch to it. But that's actually really smart, and probably makes your job a little easier to be like, oh, okay, like I understand like why like or what kind of riffs they're trying to write, or what kind of music they're trying to write, or you know, any idea that may have and makes more sense to you, and then finding a direction for them might be a little easier in that case.
Yeah, when I first started, it was kind of I noticed that a lot of the first people that I would produce for, it was like, oh, this kind of sounds like me. No, and I'm like,
you were putting a lot of like your
like
own
a lot
stuff?
of my myself,
gotcha.
And my own music that I was writing at the time. So I was like, man, I don't, you know, I wanted to break out of that, you know, and it wasn't overnight, but it was just learning to, I guess, meet people where they are, and then add what you can do afterwards. You know, I don't know how to make that make sense, but
no, that's tough, because there's so I speak about this a lot, but with like collabs and stuff like that, or just sitting on people's studio sessions, I've run into the fact of like, I'll see them writing a song and I'm like, this is where I would take it, and then like they take it somewhere completely different, and I'm like, oh, and most of the time I'm like, yeah, I would have never thought of that way. So I can definitely see of like you looking at a song being like, well, this is what I would do, but then also having to take into fact is like, well, what do they want to do, like what is it, what would make sense to them, and what direction are they going to. But I think also coming into a studio with somebody throwing in an idea that, you know, hey, I would have never thought of that, kind of helps just build like a better song sometimes.
It does,
if you take that risk.
Yeah, hearing everybody out. You know, if it's just one person doing everything, sometimes it can be great. Like sometimes you can be in a studio with a huge producer and they just do everything and they take it and run. But a lot of times these bands want, or artists or people, writers, everyone wants to be involved and everybody wants to feel like they were a part. And if you do everything yourself, you kind of take away from everyone else, and also the input. Like somebody might have something that you would have never thought of, and if you didn't hear them out to hear their idea or hear everyone's ideas, then the song would have missed out. You know, it's about the song.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's about making a really great like song. I mean, that's what you want. How did you start off like trying to like produce or like learn stuff like that, or did you try like start off like playing music? Because I know you play like drums, or you play a little bit of everything. I come from
a pastoral family. Like
oh really?
Yeah, all of my parents are pastors. All of my parents. I have multiple parents. My parents, all of my uncles, basically everyone in my family is a pastor and in the church. So I grew up. It was just normal for me to play instruments in church. You know, when someone wasn't there that played guitar, I played guitar. But my mom was a drummer, so that's the first thing I ever learned.
Dope.
Yeah, my mom plays drums like a beast, and that was the first thing I ever got introduced to. So I've been playing music my whole life. When I was like 14, I started experimenting with like recording myself with whatever I could find. You know, like I had a beat up laptop and just like a little microphone, and I would just experiment with things until, you know, I just got better equipment and stuff. So I've been doing it since then. I didn't start producing for other people till about 2016, 2017.
Okay.
And then really got into it during the pandemic. That's when it became like a full-time job, like, you know, for working for others. But it was really just like I wanted to be able to record my own music, you know, like write songs and be able to put them down so I could hear them. So that's kind of how it all started.
I see that quite a bit, a lot more like these days, but it's super essential, I think, to just like being a musician these days, is being able to like to record yourself and do that. Because one, for me, like I've just recently, maybe within the last like year or so, like started learning how to slowly record like vocals and stuff like, cause that's all I do. Like I sing, and I'm like, I want to be able to do a bunch of takes, but I don't want somebody there watching me like do a shit ton of takes until like I get it what I like, until it sounds like what I want. So like I was like, okay, let me learn like some basics and things like that. But like as far as like ideas go and like just being in projects, things like that, like being able to like someone send you something and be like, okay, let me record something on it, send it back and forth. Like it's definitely essential to being able to create music in a even like a quick manner. The pandemic was probably where that got pushed like so much for everybody as well, because you couldn't be out and about and just having like practices together, jams together, or just like hanging out with other people. So being like, oh, let me just record this by myself, make as much music that I can, like while I have the time. And all this stuff is like, for the most part, is pretty much like affordable. Nothing like, you can get a decent setup like to record like things without spending way too much money, like I think like you would have had to like in the past or anything.
It's gone down a lot. There's so many cheap like startup kits that you can use.
Even stuff that comes already like prepackaged, because like they started putting all those things together because like everyone's looking for like a way to record them. So I don't know how many, like everybody owns at least one of those Scarlett. Like,
bro, it's become like the toxic boy.
Yeah,
like if he has this Scarlett,
everybody has one of those. But like you start somewhere, then you go along the way, like you start getting better equipment to what's suited for like your needs and what you need to do. That's really cool. Do you have any like people you've worked with so far that you kind of truly enjoy?
I mean a lot. I mean, I enjoy working with everybody that I work with, but some people that are like some honorable mentions. I mean, I said Rain earlier, but that's really, Rain is really awesome in the studio. He just taps into like a different, like when he's working, he's different. You know, he's not the person he is in public. He's just like so hyper focused, and he gets all these ideas, and it's good, and it's like I don't know, it just moves really quick.
Gotcha.
You know, and it just sparks flying.
Yeah.
I really love working with Jay from Unity. Jay is amazing.
He's another one of those.
He's another one of those, like, he does everything.
Yeah.
You know, he'll go to guitar, to drums, to bass. You know, he has a vision as well, you know, that we were talking about. So it really lets me to just like make it pop, you know, and throw in my little candy or make the mix sound big, and kind of just bring his ideas to life and like clean them up and, you know, make them presentable, you know, like get everything at once. And he's really good with that. Yasmin is great too. She'll produce a lot of stuff on her phone.
Really?
Like, yeah, she'll come in with like beats already half made. It's like on her phone, and it sounds great.
That's fucking cool.
And I just bring it in, and I'll like reproduce other stuff to make it sound, you know, big. Use good samples, and it's a cool process because she also has, you know, her vision. She's amazing.
So that's kind of like the common denominator, no?
Yeah,
like,
bro.
Like people who like have like a vision and you're coming in with like,
it's great.
This is what I want. Like, let's work together to make this better.
Because normally, like, I love getting demos because I can see past the demo, if that makes sense. Like sometimes you get the demo and the idea's there, but it doesn't sound like professional, or it doesn't sound big, or, you know, the recording wasn't as good, but the essence of the song is there. So I love being able to see that because I immediately know what to do.
It's like having good bones out of like something.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Like having a good sketch, and then the person that colors it can come in and, you know, finalize it, if that makes sense.
I feel like that's a good analogy for it. Like, you know, coming in with like a nice structure of like, hey, this is what I think, this is what I saw, the song I wanted to sound like, and just have someone come in and add the big parts. The parts that, for lack of better words, the parts that like you might be lacking in, like these days, like you don't have to be able to do everything, because you have a lot of people doing like some really great stuff with producing, with writing, with everything. So you can definitely find like the right team to kind of make great like music.
Yeah.
And I like that so much, because there's a lot like when I think about like writing and stuff, I'm like, man, I can't write music like the actual music. I can write melodies, I can write all these things, chorus and stuff, but I need help with all the other things. But I like that you finding the right team. That's why I always like playing with bands and stuff like that, because it's basically that like collaborative effort,
teamwork,
like all of it. Yeah,
feeding off of each other.
It's tough. Like sometimes when you have conflicting like ideas and things like that. But I feel like that ends up ultimately always pushing for like something different out of your comfort zone.
Yeah,
which
teaches you how to work with people too.
Yeah,
like if whether you're the type of personality that likes to push your idea, or you're dealing with somebody that is really driving their idea.
Yeah,
you know, you learn how to work with them or work around it. That is more beneficial to you as a producer later on, because you can learn how to manage these people and like get the best out of everyone and still have the best product for the song, instead of it becoming like a bickering moment, or you know, stuff like that happens. And I've been on that end of the stick too. Like working with like writing, with me as a writer, and I'm working with another producer, and I'm like, oh no, I really think that this harmony should be there and not that one. And then we'll go like back and forth and we'll try both out. You know, it's one of those things, but those are necessary for the process, like we were saying earlier, for the song.
Has it ever gotten like too bad to where like it just halted like the actual
No, thankfully not.
Okay.
I've seen that happen before.
Really?
But it's never happened like to me or in a session I worked with. I've been lucky enough that it didn't. There was one time where it almost got close, and then I had to like evaluate myself, and I was like, damn, I'm being too much. I was like, let me chill, because I was just in my head. But thankfully, no, it's never interrupted the process where we weren't able to get work done.
That's good. That's good. It's I can definitely see it like getting close to there and happening, and then I guess even like if you find like if you're working with what happened just turns out to be the wrong producer, I guess being what is it? I guess just knowledgeable enough in your music to be like, all right, maybe this won't work or whatever, without it having to blow up into a huge thing. But you also like. Both parties are like, I know what like I'm trying to do, and because I've seen the other end where I'm like, I also like, he's like, I want to help you like make something as a producer. He's like, but like, if we keep doing it the way like you want to do it, like it's not gonna turn out like a product that like reflects like you know my efforts or anything like that. Because you also want to make stuff that looks good on you, I guess. Is that something ever that you go in like thinking with some of like these people, like because as far as like your production credit on this, like you, I'm sure you're interested in putting out like these quality like actual like, products.
I try not to be too selfish with it. I used to think like that, and it was because I spent so much time like, this is my craft, you know, and it was like, this is my art. But then once I started doing this for other people, I was like, no, this is like their art. Yeah. And I'm like the person that's helping them. So I really try to think about people that I'm working with music with, like I try to put them first, and not think about like the end result of like how it would affect me, or like, oh well, this doesn't sound like something I would typically make, so it might not be good for my brand or whatever. Gotcha. I don't like to think like that, because I feel like I might be putting a restraint on music in general that could be out there that someone might like, or even on something that I might discover, like a new genre that I like to work with, or little things. So I don't think too much like that.
Try to like just I guess like
empathize
and think about a little bit more about who's coming to you. Yeah. And like, okay, they're coming to me from like I'm not coming to them to get my name out there.
Exactly.
Just to get like that.
It's to help them.
And
it's
I'm
like
sure
a service.
and it'll still help like if you taking account like their feelings and emotion about like what they're writing. I'm sure like that ends up just being having positive just things happening out of it where they'll go and work with you again, because you've had multiple people come back to you, and then they'll go tell other people, I'm like, hey, like I work with them and it was comfortable, like this, and all these things, which
is so much about that experience is more than the music coming out good. Like more people will come back to you as a producer if you just make them feel good, if you make them feel like heard and and have an enjoyable studio experience, like you're there present with them, you're listening to them, you're almost like a therapist in a way. You know, a lot of my studio sessions I see them that way, because people will come to me with everything and they'll just talk, but they want to have a good experience, you know, they want to enjoy the time they're spending with you and enjoy the music. So it's like a balance of both.
Yeah, I didn't realize that till when I went to record, where I was like, oh, I guess we're just going in there tracking stuff and then we get a song. Like that's how it goes. And then being in there, I realized like you spend a lot of time, you know, just like sitting and like hanging around for a bit while like you're working on like some other stuff. And I'm like, oh, like the whole like vibe of it like is important to it. How like you get treated, how like stuff, communication goes back and forth, like as far as like when stuff is getting worked on. And that was with the person we work with. I think that was the issue that we had. Like we came out with a product and we're like, we like this like quite a bit. It's like, but we probably wouldn't go back. You know what I mean? Like because of like the experience that we had. It wasn't. I don't think. I mean, looking back at it, like I don't. It's in the past now, so I'm not like, oh, like it was terrible, whatever. There was just some like, yeah, I would just not would go back. So I definitely see how that's like super important. And just like talking about vibes, I saw like you and like fucking Jonathan and fucking Jay the other day,
anytime
like just hanging out.
I'm with John. There's always a time when he's asleep.
That's the unanimous like thing that everybody says about John. Like if you like hang out with John, he's gonna fall asleep.
If I had $1 for every video I have of John asleep on my phone, bro, I've had a good chunk of change.
Well, I think he fell asleep. He was because we did a podcast like a year or two ago with Zetabyte, and we hung out and the whole time he was like going. And then, like, afterwards, we hung out and he fell asleep. And I'm like, yeah, like, it just happens like clockwork. But I heard about that. He had told me about the sleep drumming thing. Oh. And I didn't think that was true.
It was true. It's not staged. Okay, like, now, towards the end, he was waking up. Yeah. Like, towards the very couple ends of the clips. But he was still, when he woke up, he was like, how long were into the song were y'all? And I was like, we played, like, 2 songs, bro.
I just saw his, like, fucking feet going. And
his feet, we tried to wake him up with the violins. And I was like, okay, well, let's play his music. Like, and crank it loud as fuck. It's like 4 a.m. He's not waking up, but his feet are going exactly to the tempo of the song. I got my drumsticks, put them in his hand.
And then he started moving though like this. I was like, what the fuck is this?
It's crazy, bro. We could bring him in a studio session asleep and he could still record. Like
It's called dedication and talent. That boy is practicing in his dreams.
Bro, that's a real thing. I've heard of people going purposely trying to lucid dream to practice things.
Really?
Yeah. Like pool players, like professional pool players, they'll be asleep, but they're lucid dreaming so they can practice like their stroke or something.
Holy shit. Bro, lucid dreaming is trippy as fuck. I went like a week trying because I figured out how to do it. Like, and then I was like, you realize that you don't get rest. Like your brain's completely like working.
You wake up tired.
Yeah, that was like literally exhausting. I had like dark ass circles around my, but I'm like, then people were like, what are you doing? I was like, well, I was flying and shit. I was like, it's badass.
No, bro, lucid dream scares me.
It is like...
It's hard for me to control. I've tried it a bunch of times, and I've done it successfully, but it's a little too much for me, bro.
It was, yeah. By the end of it, I was like, this is... I was completely exhausted at all times, and then, like, it started to get really trippy, like, in it. Like, I was like, oh, like, this is weird.
Wild.
I was like, yeah, I was like,
it's like some acid
going on that whole like Inception. Is like, what is real? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it started to get like that, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this for a minute. You know what I mean? And it's weird. Like, I don't know. The dreams. I've been like dreaming lately, and I'm like, I didn't realize that I would go for like long periods of time without dreaming.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I don't realize till like I start like dreaming very vividly. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm like, what changed like here? And sometimes it's something as stupid as like diet, like whatever you like drink or eat. Like there's some things like that trigger.
I smoke a lot of weed, so weed suppresses your dreams. So if you stop, it suppresses. It's been like proven that it suppresses your dreams. But if you stop, even for like 2 days, you'll start getting weird dreams. Like the dreams are not like your normal. They're kind of
they're like wacky. Maybe like intensified.
Yeah, it's like if you eat something really heavy before bed, or like some bananas or something, you go to bed, have weird dreams. It's kind of what happens after you stop smoking for a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't smoke at all. I'm totally like such a fucking lightweight. Like,
hey, that's good.
Like very, very like hard. Like they always like fucking like DJ and like Bernie's will always make fun of me because it'll take exactly one every time, and I am completely like gone. Like, and it's because they're like always like take a small one. I'm like sure. I'm like I don't fucking know what a small one is. So I'm just like. No, I can still keep going, and then I end up dying for like the next 5 minutes of just like coughing, and then literally because like apparently like that's a thing like when you cough like it I guess keeps it in there like longer, so like
you're like losing oxygen when you or like a lot of time when you cough you're gasping for air, and so that lack of oxygen to the brain gives you a head rush, so that on top of being high,
literally I was, and then right after I'm just like It's gone. Like, they'll make fun because I'm always the first one to fall asleep in that. There was one fucking time we were hanging out. Literally, everyone's like, I was asleep and they all came over and then like they were hanging out and like smoking and watching like a movie or something. I wake up at like 3 a.m. and they're still hanging out and I was like, all right. He's like, you know how to hit this? And I'm like, you know what? I can finally hang. You know what I mean? Let's go. And I still fell asleep before them. I was already asleep. And then I came back out and I'm like, and like an hour later, I was like, I can't do this, man. I went back to sleep.
I don't know how y'all do this.
I have those moments like, how y'all do this, man, on the daily, you know what I mean? But or like whatever, like their frequencies. But it's just the same thing. Like people have like their things,
the tolerances and stuff. Yeah. Like I can't really. I'm not like a drinker. Like I don't drink. I drink like at shows if someone hands me a beer and stuff. But I can probably with one hand show the amount of times I've been like drunk. You know, like really fucked up.
It's not a great feeling.
Dude, it'll happen to me easily too, so I try not to drink too much. I've never done anything like stupid or you know, I've been a pretty good boy. But I don't know, weed just works for me. Nah, bro, I got some friends that they go crazy with the alcohol.
I think it was a few years ago where I stopped doing like heavy like that, or like because I didn't do it often, but then like I think the last time it happened was like maybe like a few years back, and I'm just like, dude, I just don't like that. Like that's so weird that at one point in my life I was like, yeah, like I was blacking out like every weekend, and I'm like, how is that fucking like a good idea? Like I like there's a few hours like a block that I don't know what happened. I'm like, that's not fucking like cool. It's not good.
Nah, dude.
And so now I'm always like. I was like, oh, just like I can tell like if it ever like starts like any tipping over to something, like, oh, I'll chill and I like drink water. It's not a thing. I realized like it ended up just being like what do they call it? Like I know with like smoking they say like it's an oral fixation, you need to have something.
Yeah.
It's the same thing like at shows. So I'll grab anything else like a soda or something just so
water.
I can have like or a water,
like a straw,
and just so I have something like to hold it. And be like, oh, like that's all it is. It's not even about like you know drinking something.
That's what it is for me too. I have to hold something at a show or something so I don't feel awkward. It's so weird, but yeah, I'd rather have like a Liquid Death. It looks like a beer.
Liquid Death, sponsor us, bitches.
Bro, do you remember the tour water with Warped Tour?
Tour water?
Okay, so Warped Tour for their bands, they would give them a Monster can.
Oh,
right. They'd have a shit ton of Monster cans in the back, but it wasn't Monster. It was water.
It was just water.
It was just regular water, but it was in the Monster can, so that when they drank it on stage, it looked like they were drinking.
It's fucking smart.
Liquid Death did it for So What.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They did.
But it was regular water. It wasn't like
they just
sparkling.
had these, but everything, like any water you would buy anywhere was like from this. So it was fucking nuts.
Yeah. So what was cool.
Did you go to
Yes.
Which stage you go
to? Rain played. It wasn't the local stage. It was the one right across from it. It was like I forget the name of it.
Behind it?
Behind it.
Oh, that was it. Like that was the Monster stage, wasn't it?
Yes, Monster. It was a Monster Energy stage. Yeah. Yeah, that was fun. It was such a cool experience. It felt like Warped Tour all over again. Yeah, it brought me back.
Actually, it was wild, and the whole thing about being like the stage in the middle of the stadium. Like I could get to a point because you're walking. Because everything was like. There was some that were pretty far away, like if you were like trying to like do it. So like there was a point where I was like tired. I'm like, you know what I like? These stadium seats right here. I can still watch this fucking show happening and just like chilling. Yeah. I'm like, man, this is getting old in the scene.
I was watching Under Oath just back there.
That's where I was. I was in the seats watching Under Oath, and I'm like, yeah, man, let the kids go over there.
Let them mosh. I did my moshing.
I done my moshing.
I don't mosh anymore, bro.
It's a handful of times I've ever moshed, but.
I'll like jokingly mosh. I'll go.
I do that. I always wanted to learn like how to two-step and stuff. That shit looks fun.
Jay was teaching me the other day.
Oh really? It doesn't seem that hard, but it like also like yes, it
You're
does.
Just looking at it
like it's just coordination, right?
It's like the emo running man, bro. Like
the emo running man is probably the best description for it. Man, I think I said this the other day. My first mosh pit I got into, it was like a push mosh pit, but it was like the Real Big Fish, that ska band.
Oh, word!
It was at Warped Tour. It was at Warped Tour for Real Big Fish. No. And they were just like going, and it was like a big one. No, like people were like, it was like people were like pushing each other really fucking hard. Wow. And I'm like, this is ska music. Like, I don't.
Bro, it's just like a universal thing. People like to mosh.
People like to motion, and like it started bleeding into like every other genre, into like hip hop and everything like that, and like
it's almost bigger for hip hop now. Like I was working security for a fucking not Suicide Boys, but it was a guy that's in their clique. His name's Ramirez.
Okay.
And the crowd was crazy, bro. They're like kids. They're like I'd have to say anywhere from 15 to 24. You know, that was like their demographic. It was mainly younger kids though, and just moshing like crazy. They did a wall of death. Everybody got on one side and they slammed into each other. Holy and I had seen that happen like at a rock show that was like older, like dad rock, and it was you know. But these kids, they wanted to hurt each other.
It's kind of just whatever takes over, like the young generation, man. Like, cause they're the ones that like, that's the age where you don't give a fuck if like you're getting hurt or anything like that. It's like fuck it, you know. It with
my friends,
like all that shit like heals. That's your I'm immortal phase. You know what I mean? Like,
dude.
It's funny like reflecting on like shit, cause like I don't ever have those moments like, oh, why these kids are crazy. I'm like, nah, man, we were all fucking like
that
wild.
Was me.
Yeah.
Now I'm just like,
yeah, do you think?
Do your thing.
Hey, hit that kid over there.
Hand him a chair. Here you go, bro.
Just start placing bets on like which kid can go around.
But there's a video of me somewhere on YouTube. It was like my first ever Warped Tour, and I got knocked out in the pit.
Really?
It was really like my first mosh pit ever. I'm trying to remember who was playing. It's probably some band I didn't even know.
Yeah.
You know, just at Warped Tour, and they threw me in the pit. I'm like, okay. And I'm like in this yellow shirt, and you just see me.
Oh, no. Oh, just out?
Yeah, out, bro, on the floor. It was on YouTube for a while. Like, people were showing it to people.
Scary.
They didn't even know it was me, and I'm just...
Oh, my God, dude. They sent it to you. Dude, check this dude getting knocked the fuck out.
Like, he looks like you.
It's like, bitch, that is me.
But yeah, that dude's stupid.
Actually, my first So What that I went to was when they were still doing it at the Plano Center. I was going for, I think if I remember the bands, is like, I know A Day to Remember played, I know Dance Game Dance played, The Devil Wears Prada, and Shikari. Like, it was a bunch of like, I realized I was like, that was a really good line. It was some good shit. But I was standing one of the earlier bands, and there was this kid that kept like, I was at the edge of the pit, like whatever, so I understand like, oh, you get hit. But he was like, he came back and he like donkey kicked me, and I'm like, all right, cool, you're doing your thing. He comes back and does it again.
Oh, you're targeted.
He does it, yeah. And then the third time he comes back, and that's when I just push him and like he falls over, and then I was like, all right, I think we're pretty. Like,
it's on you. We're even, bro.
And then I'm just chilling. And I'm just chilling watching this band, and out of fucking nowhere, I just go, bah, sucker punch, and it's this kid. And I'm like, I was just like, what the fuck? And I come back to swing, and like two girls grab me, and they're like, no, like don't like blah blah. And I'm like, what the fuck? No, I'm gonna kick this dude's ass. He runs. And then he's like, no. They're like warning me about something, and I'm still like in a rage right now about the Hulk out and shit. And then they're like, no, watch. And then like he was running away, and then like he's looking back like that, and a security guard just like bumps into him. He's like, who? He wasn't like tall or anything, so the security guard just fucking grabs him from the shirt and just drags him out and gets kicked out of the shower. So I was like, okay, badass. So that's what they were saying. Like they saw the security guard.
Then that would have gone on you too.
Yeah,
you would have been. It
would have gone on YouTube and fucking kicked out. I would have been mad, man. Drove all the way. I thought Plano was so far at the time. I'm like, oh, it took forever to get here.
Plano. Damn, bro.
Fucking, yeah, there's some wild experiences at shows. Like, I remember driving down to my first, I've only been to Southwest once. And I was really into Dance Game Dance at the time. They were playing down there. And I was like, oh, like I will drive for one band. Like I remember that. It's like I literally was driving down there to see one band and like come back. And I had a random coworker that I kind of knew, and he was like, "You're going to South by?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'll go with you." I was like, "I'll pay for everything." And I'm like, I didn't realize at the time, but he was a coke dealer, so that's why he had money. I didn't know that.
Scante.
I was like, sure. But like I end up going, we don't get in to see Dance Game Dance because the line's around. It was at Emo's, so it was around the fucking corner, and I waited in it for a good hour, and then they were like, "Oh, it's in and outs." Like, so if someone leaves this and that, and the line was still like a block long, and I'm like, I'm not fucking getting in. I'm like, fuck it, whatever. Like, we'll just go see something else. So I saw. I liked it because I saw like a band play in a bike shop. Like they set up in a bike shop, and we saw that.
That's cool.
And then I was 20, I think, at the time, and I didn't know. I was just following this guy because this guy was like, I don't know, might have been like 24 or something like that, and I was 20, And we were like, oh, let's go in here. And we like walk into this bar, and I don't even like recognize like what's a bar and shit like that. I'm just like, oh, it's a venue. I guess they're gonna play in here. He was like, yeah, that's Mango playing here. I walk in and hang out. And as soon as I walk in, the security guy like sits down and he like starts checking everyone's IDs, and I'm like, did I just sneak into a bar? Like I don't even know. And then like they started doing like while I was like in the middle of it. We were sitting down for like 2 minutes, and they're like, all right, for the next hour, all beer's free. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you just started giving it out. Like, and I'm like, let me test this. I was like, can I get 4? And it was like, they were just like handing shit out. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I would get them for the yeah. But it was cool. But the funnest part about that is that we went to, well, I don't know what the name of the park is that they have. It's like a huge park at the end of the thing in Austin. Anyways, there's supposed to be bands playing there. I go to sleep in the middle of a field. And then I wake up, my friend's like, get up. And I'm like, what? And I like look, and it's a stage, and it's the fucking Strokes playing. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Hey, yo.
I think it's literally like Reptilia playing. It's like, doo-doo-doo-doo. I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, this is fucking great.
The Strokes.
Literally on the most random trip ever. But I just love that, like the energy of just like live music. Like I saw like way different performances that day, and it was just so fun. Like I love that. I think more people are trying to go out to more shows like lately. The pandemic was rough, like on that type of shit. I didn't realize how much that community was a thing. I bring up a lot that there were certain friends that I've had that I've met in like the music scene for like that we've been friends for years, but I never really had to make an effort to go out and like, hey, let's hang out, let's meet, because we would see each other like almost on a weekly basis at shows and things like that. But like with the pandemic, I'm like, oh, like I haven't seen any of these people in like forever. So that's like, it's rough, but it's this nice little like community for like to go out and like watch like live music. Yeah. Like it's definitely really dope.
It's good to see people passionate again, to like be out, or not again, but just passionate to be out, you know, because we were in for so long. So it's really cool, going to shows and just packed out, and you know, and it'll be like the same kind of shows that it was kind of before, like local shows, but it's just people where I have more. I don't know. There's like a fire.
There's a fire. I feel like it's that feeling of like, oh, we lost this once.
We don't want to lose this again.
Yeah. So it's making the effort to, hey, we have the chance now. Like we don't like, who knows like if anything else ever happens, and because like that's weird. That's a feeling like that. When was the last time that something like that ever happened where people like you had to like stay away from like everybody, and you. For a minute there, I was thinking, like, I mean, it's fine. Like, everyone has, like, online shit. Like, you can talk to each other, like, blah, blah, blah. But it's not the same as, like, hanging out with somebody and, like, vibing with your people and, like, just, like whole energy of just, like, being with your friends and, like, listening to music. Like, it's just a nice, like, feeling, you know what I mean, that you get. Which I'm glad that it's back. But, yeah, it was rough there for a few years.
Yeah. Such a barrier, like, in between. Like, you could talk to somebody, but you're just, like, you know,
yeah, it's weird. Like certain things, like you're not allowed to like. I remember like at the very beginning, my mom had a hard time, so I would go see her, but like she'd be like sitting on the porch, and I'd be like way in the driveway, and we'd be like just be talking. Yeah, I'm like even that like that's weird. Like it's really weird. Which is again like stuff like this is something that I like do because like I really just enjoy talking to people, and now I'm like I get the opportunity to do that stuff because like I think someone once was like, I've only done one, like we did Zoom. And I'm like, oh, I don't like that. Like, I was like, I don't like, it's different. And it was, I mean, this one was like, there was a good excuse because this was actually Atlantic Blue. So I had Kyle here, and then I had Yusuf like from the UK, like on Kyle. Zoom. So I was like, okay, like, so that's understandable. The dude's like in England, you know, so, but yeah, that personal feel of just like, hey, like just having an actual, like talking to your friends, seeing them, you know, simple shit like hugging people and just you know being around them is a really nice time.
I kind of forgot how to talk, bro, like because of the pandemic. Like I've been working on my social skills because they took a dip, bro. In the whole pandemic, like I became so awkward. Where I think I was awkward before, but I feel like I was more charismatic and maybe more open. So it's like something that I try to exercise now. Yeah, like my socialness
it's you kind of have to because that skill does go away.
Yeah, you know dude.
And I even get that like because like. Sometimes people will see me like do this and they're like, oh, like you're really good, like it's not, but like out in the public, I'm like, bro, like we're in my house right now, like I know like where everything is, like this is a controlled environment. Exactly. I was like, yeah, I can definitely talk and be like and be perfectly fine here. And then when I'm out in public, I also have to make the conscious effort to be like, hey, there's someone I know. I was like, I should say hi. Instead of leaving that thought there, I'm like, okay, actually walk over there and say something. You know what I mean? And then I've done that a lot with like people that I've like met once, and I'm like, oh, like, you know, can I go say hi to them again? Like, I don't know. And then I forgot their name, and I'm like, oh. And so I'm just like, fuck it. Like, I just go up there. Like
I know your Instagram handle. It's good enough.
Bro, there is people that I refer to them by their Instagram handle.
All the time.
To this day. Bro, his name is... I can't remember. His Instagram handle is Cake Disorder.
Oh, that's Jake.
Jake, yeah, it's Jake. Yeah, fucking Jake. But literally, anytime I see the first fucking thought in my head, Cake Disorder, and then the second fucking thought is Crossfade by Cole.
Oh, yeah.
Like, those are my two thoughts when I see that dude.
What's that song by Crossfade?
Cold, man. Looking back at me.
Looking back at me.
Bro, I really love that song.
Yeah, I'm starting to love it now. I want to do dad rock so bad. I really want to work with Jake actually on a little dad rock project.
That'd be fucking
bring back
the
Crossfade.
Just fucking bring back Crossfade, man. They had two songs. I don't know what that guy was doing there with the only line he was singing. Yeah, like, what is it? Never meant to be so.
Never meant to be so gay.
Band, bro? I was like, what are you doing in this band, bro? How are you getting? Do you get paid the same amount of everybody else? You don't do anything else. You're just a singer, but you play no instruments, and you don't even do the lead like the song. Like,
hey man, that's a cool job to have.
Yeah, you got in it.
Could probably be in multiple bands like that. You know, I'm just the second line dude.
You need somebody to do.
Need that second line, bro.
Harmony. You know what I mean? I sing that one every time.
Yeah.
So he did something right. Yeah, that video's like mentally burned into my head. Like, I know that video. I don't know why. Like, I know that fucking video. Yeah, like seeing a dad rock. There's like, I don't know, like I like being able to listen to like a lot of like different genres. I used to like, I think there's a point in my life where I was like, there was some shit I would listen to and it'd be like, oh, don't tell anybody. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Closeted like music tastes. I had a bunch of those. Yeah.
Cause I don't know, forever like one of mine was like Fall Out Boy, and I'm like,
oh
yeah,
that
was dope. Like I don't
Fall
know what
Boy's
the fuck.
Cool.
Yeah. I was like,
there was a time though, people like, I don't know, people just shit. Oh, that's not heavy, bro.
People just find any fucking reason.
It's Fall Out Boy. It's not supposed to be.
So I was on the baseball team my freshman year, and there was a kid. He wasn't a kid. He was I think I was a freshman. He was a sophomore or a junior, and I guess he was a public like Fall Out Boy. That sounds so stupid. He was a public Fall Out Boy fan, and they would fucking make fun of this dude hard, like, real hard. And I'm like, I go, you just like a band, like what's the big deal? But every time they'd really like lay into it. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna keep quiet. Like, I'm
not gonna let them know.
I can't let them do that. And like, yeah, the more now I'm just like, dude, I listen to like so much shit now. But I realized I started liking a lot more simple stuff for the most part, like catchy shit. Like I've come to appreciate like the skill it takes to make like a really like good chorus that gets stuck in your head, and like just like melodies and guitar melodies that you're like, these are in my head like all fucking day, and like I started to appreciate the hell out of those.
It's my favorite thing, bro. Melody's king. If you have a good melody, everything will fall into place. That's kind of the first thing I try to do when I'm writing or in a studio session. I try to always get the chorus down first. Yeah, you know, because the chorus is what everyone's gonna be singing along to.
It's the heart of the song.
It's the heart of the song, bro. And if you do the chorus, I feel like everything just finds itself. Like the verses will come. But yeah, chorus melodies, having a catchy chorus melody, that's like my thing, bro.
Yeah.
I like, if I can't do anything, I can make a catchy chorus. You know, like that'll always be my go-to thing to figure out. And if we can figure that out, I'm not worried.
It's like the big part, and like everything else. Yeah, you're right. Like it makes everything else. It gives you a vision for everything else.
Yep.
Like, that's like your foundation, your base is like, oh, that's done. Yeah, we can write verses off of this.
And you can call back to it. Like you can pull a piece from the chorus and put it in your verse, like a little melody, and it's like foreshadowing to what's about to come. Yeah, you know.
I love my favorite things to write your choruses first, and then bridges. Bridges
are underrated.
Yeah, bridges are fucking cool. Like melody and like vocal wise, because it's always the switch up, and I just fucking love switch ups in songs. Like when something just fucking like comes out of nowhere. And like the most recent like one I heard was have you heard the Summoning by Sleep Token yet? No. So there's a big switch up there, and it was one of those where I'm like listening to it, and I'm like, I know what this song is, and I was like,
oh yeah.
And it just I was just like doing that, and I'm like, fuck. I was like, what the fuck, yeah.
I like that.
But shit like that is cool. But so do you still write like your own personal music, or is it your
I do. But I just haven't been like pushing myself as an artist or releasing music like that, because I've been really focused on working with other artists and trying to get these projects out. But I still write like mainly for Instagram. I do those little Instagram songs, and that kind of fills my my cup, my writer's cup. Of feeling like I was creative. And when I do my own music, it's mainly like R&B, bro. R&B is, I don't know what it is, it just calls to my soul.
I started listening to some of those clips that you put out. I'm like, that's really cool, because I went through a phase last year where I was doing the same thing. Yeah, like I was on TikTok, and I'm like, I was like, I can't write my own shit, but on TikTok you have everybody like producing instrumentals and things like that daily. Stuff. And I'm like, I was like, and the built-in feature to do it, and I'm like, yeah, like I'll just like work with, like I was like, this is literally like collaborating with other people like at all times, and I was like trying to make myself write like at least a few like a week or something like that, because it would get that, it would scratch that itch. I'm like, I wrote something, and without the pressure of like, oh, this needs to be perfect.
Exactly. There's no pressure, and then you're training. Like your writing skills, So when you are in a situation where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna release this, you're prepared because you've been doing it, for so long with the little clips.
I guess it just keeps the muscle warm. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
So you don't lose it. Because I
like
realized
the social muscle.
Yeah. Because I was like, I haven't like written anything in quite a while, and I'm like, okay, there's got to be a way to flex this without having to have a whole project or something. So that was something cool. I was like, oh, like I'll just find these cool instrumentals, like, and we'll make stuff. And it would be anywhere like from like R&B stuff. The R&B stuff, there's a guy like on TikTok, like he's probably annoyed as fuck at me, because like I'm always like, I was like, dude, all your shit I will write. It's always just like these good R&B guitar loops, and I'm like, they're so fucking good.
I do the same thing, bro. There's a guy named Connor Albert. He's like my favorite R&B, or not. I wouldn't say R&B, because he's just it's not so cut and dry R&B. There's some like old school stuff in there. He's from the UK, and he just makes these little loops on his Instagram, but they perfectly repeat. And cool. It's always like a good segment for like a chorus. So I always write choruses to his stuff. But yeah, like almost every video he puts out, I'm writing something to it. If there's not somebody else singing on it, I'm like, I'm taking this.
It's definitely super fun. And again, just flexes that muscle, because I love to sing, and I'm like, I'm not gonna wait for something to get written. Like I'll just write stuff like this and figure it out. And again, that low pressure helps, where I'm like, it doesn't have to sound perfect. I just want to make sure I can still write, like I'm still like using that.
Sometimes you'll stumble across magic, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna keep this.
I'm waiting. I wrote one, and then the guy like literally was like, I don't know how that shit works, but he's like, if you wanted like the chords or whatever, like we can work something out. You can have it. And I'm like, all right. Like there's a method here, like to like start writing.
A lot of those people, I follow a lot of those pages, and they're just putting those loops out there. A lot of times you can hit them up, and they'll let you use them, or they'll send you the actual loop or whatever, and you can just build a beat around it. Connor Musara is one of those. He's like an Instagram loop maker dude, and his tag is steal this, so he'll be like here's a beat, steal it, or do something with it. And
I've seen a lot of those, or like people call like to producers, like, see what you can do with this. And like I said, I follow a lot of people who do like guitar loops, and then they're like, and they're specifically for like, or keys. There's like, I forgot, man, I took myself off TikTok, but I was having a addiction problem.
Bro, TikTok
is really like good about making sure you stay on that fucking like app. Like it's wild.
I limit my time on TikTok, but I do want to spend more time on there, like content creating, because it's just so good. But you have to, I don't know. You can really get addicted to the consuming.
If I could just like, I'm thinking about just having it and literally having it download every time I need to post something on it. But I also like, I do like watching like the stuff and finding like musicians and stuff like that. But then like again, the algorithm hits like there's some of that, and then there's like other stuff, and then you realize like I literally like my time was like I was going through it, and I'm like, bro, it's been 3 hours, and I've been sitting here on this shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I was like, I have so many things I need to be doing. I'm like, I can't do it. So like literally, I was like, all right. Well, I was like, we'll limit it. And then the next day, like I woke up, and the first thing I'm like,
TikTok.
and opened it, and I'm like, bro,
I got a like.
I got a problem. I was like, I got a problem. But it was cool because I started like making friends on there and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so I'm like, that's cool. Like, and it's all these people that played instruments and things like that. I'm like, oh, so that part is like really
meeting
like, really
people was cool on there. Yeah, I signed an artist last year.
Really?
Yeah. Her artist name is Milagro. Mm-hmm. And I discovered her on TikTok. She was doing. I don't know if you ever heard. Do you know who Jenny 6ix9ine is?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's like this Instagram model, and when she dropped a song, and it became like an internet meme. It became like a joke. But I discovered this girl, Mel Milagro, because she was doing a cover of it. She was like a cappella, and she sang it, and I was like, hey, yo, this song is good. Jenny just butchered it.
Yeah.
And that's how I discovered her. She came through the studio. She just happened to be in Texas.
Really?
She came through to the studio. We re-recorded it. We put it out. And the process just went so good. And I saw so much talent in her, and she's young. I was like, you know what? I actually have a connection that we could put to use. And that label that does... one of the biggest labels out there that does that type of music, the Mexican regional music. They're called Rancho Humilde, which means like humble ranch. They're a record label, and they basically have the biggest artists in that genre.
Really?
Nathaniel Cano, Junior H, all the big guys. And my cousin that made it into the family, he's the co-owner of the label.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Badass.
So it just happened to line up. So I hit him up. I was like, hey, look, I got this artist. And he sent me a producer, and we flew out to Arizona, recorded a couple songs. And I want to try and drop her single in February for like Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
But she's dope. And I found her on TikTok. She just blew up on TikTok, and
fucking badass.
yeah, it
Milagro,
just worked out. Milagro.
That's what they go by?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Fuck yeah. Milagro. Be looking out for that Milagro single.
Yeah, bro. It's called Una Llamada. That shit is...
See, that's fucking cool that you dip into like all sorts of fucking genres and shit. That's so badass.
That's my thing. I really love that music. It's so good, and it's so simple.
Yeah.
It's like, it's at most 2 guitarists, and you got a bajo loche or a bass player, and the singer, and that's it for the majority of them.
Groups.
There's bigger groups, but that's really the core of it. It's very acoustic. Not a lot of like crazy effects. And it feels almost like rap. In some parts, they're like bringing rap influence. Not when Nathaniel Cano does it or Junior H, and they call it corridos tumbados.
So that's literally what I was about to, because I got really into because of TikTok. Like I got into like corridos tumbados because it's that feel, but it's like the lyric again. The lyrics are a lot like, I don't know, like they're like it. For lack of a better word, it's like a younger generation of like doing that type of music.
Exactly.
And I was like, that's fucking cool, because I think I can't remember the name. It's like Eslabon something that I know, and then there's another one that I really like, and I can't remember. I'm blanking on the names right now. But like the songs, I'm like, these are really good songs, and for me, for some reason, like I was making a joke, but I'm like, it sounds like like a Mexican version of Gent, because all those like the bass stuff, like the rhythms on that shit.
It's so percussive.
It's so fucking cool.
And it actually like it works hand in hand with metal, bro. I was talking to one of those producers when we were working on the stuff, and I was like, bro, I was showing him Gent and showing him other stuff. I was like, you'd be surprised how these could correlate. I really want to mix the two somehow.
I'm almost positive you can, like, you literally could transcribe that into just like the same type of like cuts and stuff that they use into like a metal song, and it would work because it's all just rhythm based. Like that's just a rhythm based thing. But they're like, I was like, this sounds really fucking good and cool. Like I was like, and I was the same way. I was like, there's got to be a way to combine these bitches.
I'm going to do it. Whether it's with Milagro or somebody else. I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be like, it'll probably like start off like one of those songs, and then somehow bring in the live drums and the guitar and
that would be so
mix
cool.
it. I can hear it. Like I just have to actually spend the time to do it. But that would be super dope. And the fan base is crazy, bro.
Yeah.
I took Milagro to see Danny Lux. Okay. He's another one of these artists. He blew up on TikTok like crazy. His style is more like romantic. but they sold out the studio, which is like it's a venue connected to Bomb Factory.
Oh yeah.
The factory now. But they sold it out, and I've worked a bunch of shows there and seeing crowds, and this was like the craziest crowd, and it's acoustic.
Yeah.
Like, they were throwing chanclas on stage.
What the fuck?
I'm swear to you, bro. I'm side stage and chanclas are just flying.
Fucking Huaraches.
Someone, yes, I swear to God. There were some Huaraches. They were all on the stage. I took a picture of them. Phone cases. They were just throwing everything up there so that they could sign it at some point. So at the end of the show, they just had this pile of shit just on the stage.
Like they let them go get their shit.
They didn't get to sign
just...
everything. At the end, people came up and grabbed their stuff, but some of it was signed. It was crazy,
what
though.
The fuck, man?
The fans. I've never seen that. I've seen like people like, hey, sign this, but not at that level. Not throwing the chanclas on stage, dog.
That's a big risk, man. You might be walking barefoot back to the parking lot.
Or what if it stinks too? I'd be embarrassed. The artist is like.
In front of everybody. Like, damn.
That's what I would do. If I was an artist, somebody threw me a chocolate, I was like, who's the guest?
God, dude, man, that's fucking wild. But you're, I mean, that's bad. That's again, cool. Again, that genre feels like that, again, that younger generation of like what they're doing with it. And I like that they took something that's like your, you know, the traditional like style of music, and then like making it their own version. Exactly. And it's cool. It's because you just see like the influences coming down and still like working with anybody that's growing up. I love to see that.
There's a lot of resistance with like the older generations.
Yeah.
But like, I love seeing it because that's what music does in every generation, you know, like, I mean, people didn't like the newer generation of hip hop and it's the old heads, you know, but you can appreciate where something started and where they're taking it. You know, who would have thought you'd be hearing these traditional Mexican songs with autotune?
Yeah, exactly.
The vocals, it's crazy, but it's awesome.
You adapt. And I, as I got older, I started, because I think early on I would pull something like, I wasn't even like old, but I would pull old shit like, oh, this new stuff is like not, and like now I'm like, you have to get to an understanding. It's like, yeah, you might not get all of this stuff, but it is what this generation is making. Like that's like, and it's happened every fucking generation. Like, you know, when it went from like oldest to like fucking this like rock music to like everything that was coming up was always like this new thing building and tearing down whatever was like, well, not really tearing it down, but like just being the new iteration of that. And some people were just like, oh, I don't like this.
Just like
this
hate.
Is not. Well,
or they're stuck with what they like and they forget. They're so like zoomed in on something, they forget to look at it from like.
And it's music.
Is so subjective.
It's so subjective. It's subjective. As much as you want to be like, this is how like it's got to be done. Like you're wrong. Like is it for generations, someone has always found the new way to create something and to make something. Yeah. I go, but it's not yours. Like music, like whatever you think you created, like even if you were like the founder of whatever genre, I was like, you have no control like where people are gonna take that shit. And yeah, people will make stuff that you don't like because, and that's fine. You can not like things, but you don't have to actively like go out of your way to like
to hate on
shit.
Yeah. Bro, have you ever had music that you were like kind of hating on or you didn't like, and then out of nowhere you're like, yo, this is kind of hard.
Yeah.
That's happened to me so many times where I'm like, nah, I don't like this. And then out of nowhere, I love it. Like,
well, that's how I grew appreciation for like pop music, because I used to be like, I don't like that shit, blah blah blah, this and that. And then I realized like, why is it shit stuck in my head? Like, right? I was like, because like they know how to write like shit that's gonna get stuck. So yeah, like I could complain about, oh, it's really simple and like this and that. That whole thing of like, oh, like all the pop music like uses like 4 chords or whatever. Yep. It's like, yeah, but what do you do with those? You know what I mean? Like what do you actually like do with the
how is it they're still able to make consistent hits with the same 4 chords?
Yeah, I was like, it's a skill. Like it's a skill, and like you have to appreciate it at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, you again, it's just an appreciation. Like, but that doesn't have to be the music you listen to.
And there's not you. Just because you like one type of music doesn't put you in a box of that music.
No.
You can listen to everything, bro.
It's so boring.
Yeah. It's like eating one flavor of food every day. Damn. Like just that, eating pizza every day, which is cool. I love pizza.
Pizza's great.
But I would also love some menudo like on Sundays.
Today's Sunday. Man.
Yeah.
Actually, we have menudo here, Bert. No, I'm sorry.
Can you heat it up, bro?
Heat up the menudo.
Do a taste test.
Yeah, man, I think people just need to be open, and I think most people are trying to be open. I mean, that's the the reason we even did like this festival in the first was like to mix a mixed genre bill with like all these locals and stuff. And I'm like, because at the end of the day, like that's what people, most people listen to music that way. Where like one day you're listening to one shit, or even in the same car ride, you know what I mean? Like you go through like all this stuff. Like people's playlists are wild sometimes.
I always hang out with people and they're like, "Oh, my playlist is crazy." I'm like, everyone's playlist is crazy almost because you know you're listening to like fucking Crank That Soulja Boy, and then out of nowhere, you know, like Sleeping with Sirens, or it's just weird, like just back to forth. But that's the cool thing about it, you know, like it'd be boring to just be one type of thing with anything, you know, like music or I don't know, like fitness. I mean, people that do fitness, like, do they do the same thing every day? Like, they gotta switch it up. They do different things. Now, like, they got leg day, arm day, or
and that's all the like crazy shit that people are doing. Like people doing CrossFit, people doing like powerlifting. Those are two different fucking things. And like and then while now, like there's a moment like all that shit kept popping up. And I'm like, man, I want to do one of those things, but this shit looks all crazy. Like
we'll do VR.
The VR stuff. That
VR is dope.
Yeah, I've only done like Oculus VR. And that
Oculus,
shit was pretty. That shit was wild.
I have an Oculus 2. I got into it into the pandemic, bro. I'm not gonna lie. When one of those STEMIs hit, it was like one of the first purchases I made, bro. I went out, bought an Oculus because we were stuck inside, bro.
That big ass TV in the living room, that was a STEMI purchase.
Bro, I also came up on a lot of equipment during the pandemic, so thank you, Joe Biden.
Thank you for funding.
The Oculus is so dope, bro. There's so many things you can do on it, and now they're introducing like music stuff, like where you can have like a whole like desk full of like equipment, but it's in the VR world. You have like several monitors, and you can have your DAW in it. They're starting it with like Pro Tools and FL. Yeah, it's like in the beginning stages, but it's pretty cool, bro. You can have like fake VR instruments and pads, and you're just like hitting them.
That's kind of dope. Yeah, that's kind of really
synthesizers. Dope. It's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like if they keep at it, that's gonna be real like thing. Because I've seen like people like with their their computer and stuff like and working on things, but it's just all the Oculus things. That's I go once that shit gets nailed, I go. That's
once it gets really comfortable.
Yeah.
Because right now it's still
funky.
Yeah, I can only play for so long before my head starts to hurt, and I'm like my neck is, you know.
You know what I want to do? They have those. They have those VR rooms. Have you seen the new one stuff?
I want to give you a gun. Yeah, you're just walking around,
and it's got like haptics and stuff like this. So you wear suits, like if you get shot, like you like feel. Like I'm like, that seems really dope as fuck.
That's cool.
Yeah, I want to go do one. I've never done that.
A large amount of mushrooms and go to VR.
Oh my god,
psychedelics.
The last time I've only done that 3 times, and first time apparently I had a bad trip. But I had a fun time. Because I had a fun time. But like there was some creepy shit and I described it and it's like, that doesn't sound like a nice time. I was like, yeah, but it was, I think I was just so fascinated.
Right.
I was just like, this, because the whole time I kept the idea of like, this is all just in here, baby.
Yeah.
Like ain't nothing happening
out
here.
That's the way you're supposed to think. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And then the second time was pretty bad. It was just like, it was a different kind or whatever. So it was, I think the coolest thing out of that was, 2 things, like mapping out my problems. Like that's one thing I get on that. That's like I was like, this is the issue, and my brain immediately was like, this is how you fix it. And I'm like, but it was like you just got to do that. And like I'm okay, but it was like a clear picture. And also we were listening to music, just like laying down, and I was like, man, I really wish it was louder. And then it just goes like it's like the volume goes up, and I stand up and I look, and I'm like, no one's near the thing, and I'm like. Your brain just fucking do. I was like, what the?
Start trying to move the cans.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I mean, in my head, I'm like, but that would make sense.
You can control your senses.
Whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, that's so crazy. But the last time was a bad time because I don't know what was the difference. Actually, 0.5 is the difference. And then I was going through like every fucking memory that I've ever had all at once.
Dangerous.
And I was like, it was just like, it's literally like someone holding on the channel button and just going, but they all felt like I was reliving every one of them. And I'm like, that's crazy. And then I fucked up because I was like, I'm tired of this. I'm going to go to bed. I'm like, that's not how shrooms work. So I go into my room and it's all dark and I'm just like, having a bad time. I'm like, at some point, I'm like, just like, I'm like naked in my bed. I'm like, what's happening? And I finally like come back out, and I'm just like quiet, and then like DJ and Edward are there, and I'm just like, man, I was fighting demons in there. And we all just fucking start laughing, like really hard, and have this really big laugh. And at the end of like the laugh, I'm like, it all came down. Like just that. I'm like, oh, I'm back to like, I literally was back to like normal.
Yeah.
Like it was weird. That laugh like completely took me out of it. And I'm like,
laughter's good when you're on psychedelics.
Yeah.
And if you're sensory deprived, if you're in a dark room and you're not having anything else, that's when it gets worse.
Yeah.
People do those sensory deprivation tanks where they go in and it's like water and you like close the tank and it's just darkness and you're like floating on water. Those
are with like no, that's just that, and I heard that like trips people out. Like
it does without psychedelics.
Without anything.
So imagine combining the two.
And like I've always seen the it always pops up like every year, but the article of like the quietest room like ever. I heard that like drives
I want to go there.
Crazy. I wanted to like
track
at least
experience
it. Yeah, track some drums.
Play my guitar.
Just like flat ass fucking sound. Just nothing.
Like, yeah, I can add reverb to that.
That'd be pretty trippy, dude, to record in there. Yeah, man, this was a nice
what psychedelics did you do?
Shrooms. Yeah.
Shrooms, yeah. I tried shrooms. That was the first psychedelic I tried, and nothing really happened to me. I think I just didn't take enough. And then the second time I did psychedelics, it was acid. And it was the first time I'd ever done that. And I was with these two girls, and I'm pretty sure they had other intentions, but I was pretty like focused on the acid, and I started crying, bro.
Yeah, no,
I had this whole experience, like, oh, dude, it kind of changed my life, low key.
So I heard, like acid is more. It's definitely more visual, I think. Well, no,
way more visual.
Way more visual, and then like it's. Is it as long lasting? Is it lasting?
It lasts longer,
right? Yeah,
like 12 hours.
Yeah. But like shrooms, I think it was like 7.
Yeah, I took it at like 9 p.m. and I didn't start feeling like normal till like 6 a.m. Yeah, and I stayed up the whole time. I was just awake and active.
Yeah.
But it was crazy. I kind of really I wouldn't do acid often. I probably haven't really done it since then.
Yeah.
But it was a cool experience, bro. Like we were watching a Mac Miller video. It's like the one where I think it's called Self Care, and he's like in the coffin.
Yeah.
And he's like being buried alive, and then he punches out of it. And when he punches out of it, he comes out and he's rising out of the dirt, and he's in this white room. And I felt like this huge like blanket got put over me.
Wow.
And I started, I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about it. I started crying, bro.
Yeah.
And I had these two girls behind me on the bed, like trying to have fun, and I'm sitting here like, it's so beautiful.
Like, I don't understand.
I understood life, and they were like trying to like talk to me, and I'm like, you don't get it. I was like, this means something. I was like crying, bro. I was like, I don't know what I was thinking, but I felt like I had experienced God, bro. It was so weird. It was such a crazy experience.
I've wanted to try that because I got ever since the first one, like just got me fascinated just because like this shit, like I'm like, it's crazy. Like why wouldn't anyone want to experience like something like I go, it's because it's like nothing else. And I'm like, for me, I'm like, I don't really smoke or do anything, but I'm like, this is like, it's a mind exploration. And the topics I went through in my head were so fucking like vivid and cool. Like, again, it pointed out all these things, and I'm like, yeah, like these are my biggest struggles, and it like,
can help
me
with
just
that.
like kind of process like through them, like, and it kind of pinpointed them at the root of what they are, not in like the surface level stuff. So I thought that was so fun to look through. Yeah. I've heard that about what's it like. DMT is like the super like intense one.
DMT, I did DMT.
Yeah.
But I don't think I took a big enough dosage.
Okay.
Because I didn't feel what everyone else was feeling. It just kind of felt like mushrooms.
But people said like it's really like quick, like
it goes away fast. Yeah. It's only like 15 minutes.
But then
and you have to smoke a lot of it. I think that was what happened is I didn't smoke enough of it. And I did it in a pen form. It was like in a vape pen.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently that's like a super intense one, and that's like a chemical you get when you're born and when you die. So it's something that happens naturally in your body. And so apparently most people that try DMT, they like see entities. That's like a common thing. They'll see like a figure or something. I didn't get that, but also I wasn't there. I wasn't at that level. But that's crazy. And they're using all that stuff now for like beneficial things. Like it's not just people trying to get fucked up. Like they're using it now for PTSD for like veterans, which I think is super cool. Like not DMT, but like mushrooms. Because it can really help, like you were saying, get to the root of some of those problems.
I feel like after that, I was like, why isn't why isn't this like widely like funded for these like helpful like purposes? Because it like, as far as for like, I think like in conjunction with like therapy or something like that, someone to talk you through what like your experience and things, you can talk to someone. Again, speak to someone rude about, because there's sometimes like I'll like, for example, I'll just use me for example. Like they'll talk to me and like, well, what's causing this? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. Like I don't fucking know. And then like I remember like my first one, I'm like, oh, it's all this shit. Like it's this. Like, this is what it is. Like it's either stuff that like you can't put into words, or it's like it's stuff that you're hiding from yourself. Your conscience does. And I'm like,
you're just pushing it back.
Yeah, great. All right. Oh fuck. Okay. Yeah, I would keep talking, but I think these are about to like come out.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're good. But really quick, any like stuff that you're working on that you kind of want? I know like you were mentioning like Milagro coming out next.
So Rain's project is going to be dropping here soon. We're going on a tour in February.
Dope.
So we'll be dropping an EP with Rain. We're waterfalling it, so like a single, and then the second single, and the third. And then I have Milagro's project. We're going to try and drop on Valentine's Day, and then Emotional Zan. We got a new like little EP coming out with Emotional Zan. Yeah, it's in the works.
Badass.
Yeah, first song's already done. I don't know when we're dropping it, but be on the lookout for that. That's gonna be really cool.
Dope. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you once again, Santiago, aka Holder. Look up all that man stuff. I will link all this stuff at the bottom. And thank you guys for watching, listening. This was episode 51 with Holder. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.
Sounds and breakdowns. Better lose your man. We should run away together while we still can.